Hi, Sagittarius. It is so beautiful right now. And I associate Gemini season so much with Sagittarius. This is the full moon that we just had in your sign, but also how alive our axis becomes, how alive you are, how down to business you get in this season. 7 of Wands and 9 of Swords. Let's talk about responsibility and the different faces that responsibility can take. Because according to your astrology, and according to these two cards, the nature of how you define responsibility and how it makes you feel because of that definition is what really drives you in June. So let me not be so vague. Your responsibilities are calling to you, but there are two ways that you are looking at this, which is, I suppose, also what I mean when I say that Sagittarians give me such Gemini energy, especially in Gemini season. You can see both sides of what responsibility means in your life right now. On one hand, it's time to be serious. It's time to figure out and concretize who will do what. It's time to overcome apathy, laziness, the immobility caused by insecurity and fears of inadequacy. It's time to, like I said, concretize your plans. Who's going to take care of what? Time to step up. On the other hand, you can't help but be honest with yourself about how you feel. And this question keeps coming up, that wouldn't the things right now that feel like such weighty obligations that need to be figured out, wouldn't they be a joy to fulfill if you actually felt it? I know. Please, I get this. The partners who are the most insecure, as far as I know, from the responses I get, the emails I get, are your partners and Virgo partners. Your partners feel like I have it out for them. I don't. I think there is something very threatening to a partner when they see a Sagittarian really connect with somebody intellectually, because it's rare, and Sagittarians can live in this world where they can pretend to just be the charming, funny know-it-all, and really can hide all their lives, their true identity, and their true passion is just being deeply intellectual and stimulated by this, I think I've said this before, this very Aristotelian way of communicating, which is just, we're going to talk and you're going to tell me what you know and I'm going to tell you what I know, and together through these interactions we're going to both become more intelligent. We're both going to together come to these new understandings that will not only enhance your life and my life and our understandings of said topic, but there is this sense that's kind of magnanimous and vast and a bit conceited that we're also discovering something together that perhaps no one has ever thought of before. And if that sounds lofty, it's because you're cross-watching and you're not a Sagittarian, because for Sagittarians this is every day. They're always doing, thinking, saying things that haven't become commonplace yet. They may have been done before, sure, everything's been done before, but when Sagittarians are as original as one can be in a derivative culture, they're not doing so out of a sense of rebellion, no matter what they may think, no matter what you may think. You're doing it because you are sensing and creating connections on an almost clairvoyant level, which is why I think certain signs gel so well with you, which is why certain people can have a huge problem when you intellectually connect with anyone. Doesn't matter if it's through a video screen or in person, or it does not matter, because to get your energy hooked or locked into something is rare. To have you hold merit for something or do credit to something, it has to be quite exceptional. And so I've noticed that the people in your life, they kind of give themselves ranks, like they're in the military or something. I'm the one that they trust the most. I'm the one that they call when they need this or that. I'm the one, it's like it determines the cool factor. How close are they to said Sagittarius? And so when someone essentially jumps the line and is able to get in front of everybody because they captivate you, or because you sense that you could have that kind of interaction and whip up these new meanings and understandings, when you sense that this is possible with someone, they do skip the line. And what happens is that in the wake of that, there are a lot of people who are left holding the bag going, wait, but you have obligations to me. We have made promises to each other. And this is especially relevant if you have Venus in Sagittarius right now. And your natural comeback, whether you voice it or not, is, why do I not feel inspired to honor these obligations? Why do I feel so tethered and caged, and yet I don't feel any sort of benefit for this? Where is the other side of this? What is the good of this? You are beginning to forget. Because coming to terms with reality, right? The meaning of sobering. It's a sobering time for you. And for some, that's just going to mean fall in line and let's get sober and let's get serious and let's figure out who does what. But for a lot of you, this latent pain, is like, okay, I know you want to get things in order, but I'm not feeling any of this situation anymore. Now what do you want to do? You want to just put me away somewhere? Like, that's not going to work. So it starts with knowing yourself. It starts with being honest with yourself and knowing how you feel. And maybe that takes a couple of days into June. Maybe from now until next week around this time, next weekend, you're starting to think to yourself, like, how do I actually feel? Especially if it's in a living situation. That requires like sorting out and who's going to do what, whether it's romantic or not. If you're in a living situation, it might be time for you to step up and be the one that delegates who does what, because I think you've given it enough space. You don't want to micromanage. You don't want to, be the guy. But it's a good time to be the guy. Other than figuring out whether you want to do things out of duty or be inspired, which is really localized to your love life. Other than that, things are looking great. And even that is looking great because it's about time you dealt with this. I think what it comes down to is, like, shouldn't you be inspired to fulfill your word? And aside from that, if you feel like anyone is asking you for money, asking you to invest in something, asking you to underwrite something or co-sign something, just sit on it, especially if it gives you the jitters. Because what they're seeing right now is like a sitting duck. It is so obvious to everyone around you, whether they have good intentions for you or bad. It is so obvious that, Jupiter's across from you in Gemini. Come on, especially Sag rising, get out of here. You are having good times. Inshallah. But it is time to be serious, especially when it comes to, the way people treat you in terms of luck, money, access. It's time to get a little more serious about that stuff and perhaps a bit withholding. You may be accused by some of being humorless or joyless or what's happened to you. You're being so much more serious than you usually are. And yeah, there is a little bit of, constraint. You're less, yeah, sure, you're a little bit less jokey. You're a little bit less clowny. But just accept what they're saying because, your comeback, and the reason it's even going this way is because there is a lot to take care of. Because at the end of the day, whether you want to do it or not, something has to be done. Whether you're leaving, whether you're staying, whether you're figuring it out, whether you're going to stick it through, whatever you're going to do, it has to be done. Something has to be done. So if it's about relationship stuff, I think just really wait on how you feel. I think the real unfortunate truth of sticking to your obligations is that it may be really good for other people, but it's terrible for you. And perhaps it's always been that way. Perhaps that's what obligations are designed to safeguard. But when it comes to money, there is a lot more control. And essentially, the issue is the same. It's about access. It's about delegating authority. It's about saying no. It's about waiting things out. You're not being non-committal. You're just gonna trust your instincts and wait on everything until something seems clear. It seems foolish to progress in Gemini season when the information is actively being sorted through. You know, Cancer season, when everyone else is deep in their feelings, seems like a much easier time to sit and kind of put it all before you and intellectualize it and think about it and really analyze it. And there will be a time for that. But right now, making decisions, even if you're taunted and told you're not being quite as much fun or as impulsive or what's going on with you, just take it. Just be like, yeah, sure, that's what it is. I'm going through a serious moment. Don't give anyone any loans. Like I said, they're looking at you like a sitting target. Don't commit to anything. Don't antagonize them with this information, because that's the other thing. It's like you'll do stuff and then you shoot yourself in the foot because the person you're talking to wouldn't even know what you've done. It would go right over their head and you'd have no problem, but you have to make it a point to like shoot that arrow and be like, and you know what else? I've decided I'm not doing this. I'm going to trust my instincts and wait you out. The person wouldn't even have known that you were waiting them out. They wouldn't have even known you were dragging your feet. You could have just, but don't do that. Don't make it a point to tell people your strategy. You have those villain moments where, you know, the villain fucks his shit up because he has to have that like 20-minute speech where he gives away exactly what he was about to do because he feels like he won. So he has time to like do his little thing. You guys do that dance too. Now, if you have like a very sudden romance coming up, like out of nowhere, where you're just like, I don't know, and you really just don't know, and usually you just be knowing, but if something comes out suddenly, especially if it's at work or like somewhere where someone can get some benefit from you, a work, an organization, somewhere where like you have power, you have pull, this is exactly what you're afraid of, that it is. Do not play yourself, because you already know what it is. This person is trying to take advantage of you, and they have a lot of drama that they could pull you into. Ooh, it can turn really ugly. And like it can turn into gossip easily. It's the kind of gossip that like travels too, because it's about something so like salacious, you know? And once you like give into this person's energy or you sleep with them, God forbid, they're gonna have all the, let's say the credibility that they need. People will believe them, and it can get really, really ugly, because you're kind of a, you know, what we should call this reading? We should call this reading the drama duck, because in this way you're a sitting duck as well. Like it's really easy for gossip to get right on top of you right now, or like on top of your reputation, because you've been in a stage where people don't really know what's up with you. So you making the wrong move right now, especially with someone who has like a whole agenda, and not saying that they don't like you, but they don't like you. Yeah, it can get pretty ugly. A lot of talking going on, a lot of talking behind your back, a lot of talking. This can really fuck with your career. It can fuck with your life. It can fuck with like your social standing. This can really fuck with you. This is like 100% from beginning to end a walk away situation. It's only 1 month. You'll be fine, but just, I'm going to say it again so you hear me. Okay, are you listening? Good. Don't ask. It's so fucking humid. Listen, summer in Denmark is glorious, but it does things to the hair. Listen. If it's sudden and it feels even slightly off, it is. There is an agenda. You will not be smarter than them. You will not figure it out. You will fall for it, and you will look like an asshole. And that whole, well, let me just go along with it because I can't believe these people think I'm not smart enough to... I have never understood this particular way of thinking. I don't even think it's a way of thinking. I think it's like just completely egoic reactivity. But yeah, don't do that either, because this is so real. If people want to destroy your reputation, they'll just start talking behind your back, and sooner or later it will stop whatever you're trying to do dead in its tracks, because it will meet up with that set of rumors. But you have to give it credence somehow. And if you fuck with this person for some reason, whether their agenda was to fuck you up or to get something from you or whatever it is, what their agenda ends up being is that they feel like you really played with them because they tried to toy with you and they don't get to toy with you the way they want. So then they feel like they got played. And once they feel like they got played, oh gosh. And on top of that, Mercury's in Gemini starting the day after tomorrow until the 17th. Out there. Mercury and Gemini across from you, out there, all your fucking business, out there. You know what you should be doing right now? You know how all the opportunities come to the fountain. Come hang out at the fountain. All those opportunities that you felt like you missed, that if you were like, oh my God, you've been thinking lately like, oh, if I could just have that one chance back, if that one opportunity came back, if that one person emailed me again, or that one interview, this time I could fucking crush that shit. This time I would know exactly what to do, exactly what to say. Wait on it. Jupiter and Gemini, wait on it. Be cool, be chill, be easy. No drama, no bullshit, no sitting duck, no drama duck. High Priestess. No drama ducko. We don't need it. You don't need it. You don't need it. You have bigger questions here. That question at the beginning, I'm sorry I took a while to, just expound on it, but it's a really big one. Some of you are like well into the later stages of your life and you're still wondering about this same question, and a lot of us are. What is it about? Is it about obligation? Is it about passion? Is it about inspiration? Is there a way to have both of these things simultaneously? Is there perhaps some sort of symbiotic relationship possible between these things that fuel each other and feed back into each other? But these are all questions that, need to be thought through. And how can they even be thought through if you won't even let yourself entertain the fact that perhaps the obligations you have are not making you happy? And if you've already identified that they're not making you happy, then you have much larger questions to now wrangle with, including why are you still there? What does that say about you? What's happening with you? Why, and that's going to lead you down several rabbit holes. But... and we'll talk about this in the extended. The one thing that you have to consider is that at this time, what you'll be thinking a lot about in the context of relationships and obligation, the parent that you have had conflict with, the parent that did not satisfy your needs, and whatever the relationship is between you and that parent, however you then learned how to cope with their presence and behavior, their absence and lack of behavior, whatever it was. Whenever you feel that same pattern kickstart within you, you're going to think that this is your chance at finally having love. Because that wound, is so close to the surface and bleeding profusely, and some people can just fucking see it, or they're like animals, they can smell it, they don't even see it, they're not even trying to manipulate you, they're only attracted to people like you. It's not even their fucking fault. They're such predators, they don't even know it. People like that, their eyes are usually really close together. Anyway, so A lot to think about. Because say you are in a relationship like that where you have mirrored a troubled relationship with a parent that you are now trying to find some redemption for. Say that's what's going on. What face do those obligations take on then? What's the logic then once you wake up to that for staying in that relationship? Do you owe the other person anything aside from apologies for not being aware of what you were doing? Do you still owe them your time, your life? You know, this gets deep very quickly, and it can get messy as well. And that's a overall theme here as well, drama ducko. There's a lot of opportunities for the fire to get out of control. And yet, in certain areas of your life, the fucking jets are turned all the way off, and it's so frustrating, which is why they're even going crazy in other ways, in other aspects of your life. I hope you realize that. Oh, it's the little, it's also a little spare. Oh my god, you guys are so cute. Oh my god. Birds. So, let's talk about that wounding and the 5 pages of notes, including the astrological transits that I did not get to, in the extended. That extended is available below through Patreon as a subscription, but you can also just buy the video and watch it on Patreon without getting the subscription. It's available through Vimeo and also through PayPal, and you can also get a personal reading at the link below that looks like this. Okay, I love you. Let's look at these cards. Hi Sagittarius, and hello to everyone who is watching the preview of the extended after the general. Welcome. So for the little preview part, I wanted to clarify something about this period of being non-committal. You know, you're allowed to bring someone that you're interested in on the waiting. This doesn't have to be something mysterious. You can explain to them that you're currently in a season of flux and change, and it's really not a reflection of anything at all, except that you feel like things are still being shown to you. And because of that, you feel like it's in everybody's best interest to just take a moment and not make any major decisions. So this applies if you have a partner and they're wanting to push ahead with something like getting a loan, buying something together, large ticket items, committing to a trip, committing to family plans, something that for you takes a little more processing and a little more headspace, because you know that once you're in those situations, you really got to turn it on. And part of the reason that you are in this larger process to begin with is because you're starting to work backwards. You're imagining yourself in situations and thinking of what it's going to be like, the actuality of the thing that you're about to commit to. You're doing a little bit of time traveling. You're going into the situation and then coming back to yourself in the moment of when you're supposed to commit and saying, let me get back to you on that. I feel like you know, when people say genuinely, when they look at you and you can see the confusion in their eyes and they're disconcerted and they say, I think I have to look at my calendar. Like, let me just check my schedule. That's where you're genuinely at. Now, are there people who aren't going to believe you? Anyone who wants something from you is not going to believe you. Why? Because Sagittarians hit targets. You're not the ones to wait. I'm not saying you're impatient. You're not really. But you don't hesitate. And so I would like for you to not classify this as hesitation. It's not. You don't hesitate. This is knowing that the dust hasn't settled. This is knowing. Today is June 3rd. It's the parade of planets where a ton of planets are in alignment, and it happens every 10 years. There is more to kick off still before any real decisions can be made. And it is not a reflection on anyone or anything, including your abilities. You know, it's not because you've given your mind a break. It's not because you want to play around. It's not, the non-committal has nothing to do with you personally. There's just a gut instinct that's going to keep nagging at you and saying, nope, we're free as a bird right now. We need to stay free as a bird. There's some reason right now that we need to wait things out, because the opportunities that come to you if you don't make any major decisions in June are phenomenal. It's as if June holds many prospects, and depending on which ones you bite at, that takes you on that adventure. It's very choose your own adventure right now. But if you wait a few weeks, you resist the temptation to go against your instincts, because you often have that temptation. Perhaps an even better opportunity, something that maybe once you thought you had lost or fucked up, comes back to you. And if it's not that, it's the opportunities that you want, but they're organized better. They're more appealing, they're more beneficial for you now. Okay? Good. So that is your little preview, and look at the cards. I love you. We're going to keep going with this extended. And yeah, the next thing we're going to talk about is, well, I'm going to touch very lightly on the not antagonizing people. And then from there, we're going to move on to, geez Louise, what do I have here? Okay, a lot more notes. Okay, love you.